Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1563. Today's May 28th, 2020, and today marks a happy birthday, a happy 6th birthday to Cars Yeah. I want to thank all you listeners who stuck with me, who listen every day. I'm very grateful I get to do this every day. Thank you for listening. I'll keep them coming. Happy birthday, Cars Yeah.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. I'm revved up and very excited to share with you today a very special guest by the name of Greg Prince. He lives up here in Green Banks, Washington. Greg Prince owns and operates Prestige Collector Car Appraisal. He had a successful 33-year career in the fire service. However, his passion was always in automobiles. He grew up around cars. He raced his Chevelle SS in his wilder youth days. He attended numerous Indy 500 races with his father in the late 60s and 70s. Greg has restored countless cars, been a national marque judge, written a nationally acclaimed authenticity manual for the Studebaker Avanti, and today helps owners appraise their collector cars, provides collection assistance, and helps find and source classics collector cars for his clients. We'll be back in just a minute to talk with Greg, but first a word from our valued sponsors that make Cars Yeah possible. Sit tight and we'll be right back. Did you know Covercraft is much more than car covers? They offer protection for the inside of your vehicles too. Sunscreens to keep your vehicles cool and protected from the sun's damaging UV rays. Dash pads that do the same so your dash stays looking new without all those ugly cracks and fading. The seat covers that are easily removed for washing are awesome, but it's their custom fit floor mats that I really love. Is your vehicle getting a little long in tooth? Well, there's no better way to give it a new car look than with a custom fit floor mat and trunk mat. I replace mine every few years with something a little different, contrasting, just to have some fun. It stops that urge to buy a new car, and more importantly, it protects the factory carpets, so when it's time to sell your vehicle, it looks brand new. They're easy to clean, they secure to the floor for safety, and they look oh so good. Don't forget your trunk, too. Custom fit trunk liners for sedans, coupes, and SUVs are perfect protection for the factory carpets from all those things that can stain and damage the floor of your vehicles. Check out covercraft.com for a huge number of styles, colors, and options that'll make you smile. And I've got a deal for you. If you use the code YEAH120, that's YEAH120 at covercraft.com, you get 10% off your Covercraft order. So go to covercraft.com today and use the code YEAH120 at checkout. Tell them Mark sent you. That's covercraft.com. Covercraft. They've got you covered. What do you do after running a race team for 27 years with over 100 professional wins, multiple wins at the 24-Hour of Daytona, and a win at Le Mans? Well, if you're Kevin Buckler, a racer and the Racing Group's team owner, you create Adobe Road Winery. Located in Petaluma, California, he and his team have created a winning combination with the Racing Series, 4 ultra-premium red wine blends that are in a class of their own. Like racing, these wines comprise of art, precision, engineering, science, and a whole lot of fun. You can choose from 4 blends titled Redline, Apex, Shift, and the 24. Today I'm going to tell you about Redline. It's a rich and complex blend delivering a taste of ripe blackberries, black cherry licorice, and a hint of toasty oak. An added very cool option is that this features the world's first interactive wine label. That's right. When you pour the wine, the 3-dimensional tachometer actually hits the red line. It's incredible. The Racing Series is a killer gift for the automotive enthusiast in your life, and I've got a deal for you. If you use the code CARSYEAH, all one word in all caps, when you go to checkout, you'll get $10 off any purchase of wines from the Racing Series. The wine ships promptly and arrives quickly right at your door. Use the code CARSYEAH at checkout for $10 off of your purchase today. there's always a seat at the table for excellence with the racing series. Go to adoberoadwines.com and use the code CARSYEAH to save $10 today. Cheers! Hey, Greg, welcome to Cars Yeah. Are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
Sure am, Mark. And hey, I understand that I am honored to be your guest for your 6th birthday for Cars Yeah. Happy birthday, and please don't ask me to sing.
Well, I appreciate that very much. You know, when I started this, I thought I'd do it for a year or two, and here we are at 6 years, 1,563, what I call inspiring automotive enthusiasts. And I couldn't have done this without people like you, Greg, and the incredible list of guests that I've had on this show. This is quite a mile marker for me, number 6. We'll keep it going, keep having some fun, but thank you very much for your kind words. That's very nice of you.
You're welcome.
Before I jump into the questions, though, let me ask you this. Tell us something that most people don't know about you.
Oh, boy. Right from the get-go. Okay.
Yeah.
I used to stutter pretty bad. And actually, this show would have terrified me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah. When I was in school, teachers made fun of me. Students made fun of me.
Oh, my gosh.
They would have me read articles and books, and it was incredibly embarrassing.
Yeah.
And you find out in a hurry how cruel people can be. And that was a difficult thing to get over.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, I've known people that have had this challenge even into their adulthood where it's still a constant battle for them. You speak very eloquently now. How did you get through that? Tell us a little bit about the process of how you work on that, because I understand you can do that. Many people have dealt with this as a child and worked their way through it. So how do you do that?
It's very much hard work and determination. I got very frustrated at this. My father said, one thing that always took my father is he said, they can take everything away from you but your pride. Never let them take your pride from you. Yeah. And I'm a very prideful person. So basically it was, I just read books to myself. And then I would read in front of my family and slowly overcame it. And basically what I found out was that it was a lack of confidence or self-assuredness. And as soon as I got comfortable reading, and basically it was reading books and car magazines, car books and stuff, a topic that I felt comfortable with, that got me to relax and be able to speak my mind. And it's solved the problem ever since. In the fire service, I taught in large classes all up and down the West Coast. I was a professional artist for a while, and I did large seminars. It really hasn't been a problem. I still get a little bit nervous right beforehand, but then once I start talking, everything just smooths out.
Wow. Well, congratulations for overcoming that. What would you tell somebody listening right now that has a challenge with stuttering to give them confidence that they can beat this?
Basically, it is that it does not define you. It does not mean that you're not a smart person or that you're less worthy than somebody else. I kind of look at it this way. In fact, I could use this for one of my quotes, but I didn't, is what doesn't break you makes you stronger. Yes. And that's the way I look at it, is I feel very strongly that I was able to beat this. And it gives you a strength that you can take on challenges in life and overcome them if you just persevere and put your head and mind into it.
Great inspiration. Thanks for sharing that with us. I appreciate that.
Sure.
And you touched on this. My next question for you is a success quote or a mantra, some kind of saying that's been instrumental in your success in life. It's a nice way to get the inspirational tires smoking here on Cars Yeah. So, Greg, grab the wheel.
Okay. This is probably going to sound a little bit off the wall, but it's the quote that was made in the car hobby. They're only original once. And where I'm going with this is I used to be, still kind of am, a perfectionist. Everything had to be absolutely perfect. When I restored my cars, everything had to be, every nut, every bolt, every thread, everything had to be absolutely perfect. And I had somebody tell me one day that I was erasing history with this, that I was erasing the story that car went through. And it made me think that dent that on the side fender where grandfather missed hitting his grandchild and swerved the front end and nicked the lawnmower in the garage. You know, that's a story that was impacted on that car. And when you replace that fender and make it all perfect and better than new, you've taken that away. And I've really got into embracing the story that was associated with a car. And that's led me in life to appreciate moments, events in life more than a material thing. When you go to your grave, you're not going to be, wow, I'm glad I had this car and never drove it. It's going to be, I'm going to remember all the memories that I had experiencing life with my wife in this car. That is what's going to matter. And so it totally changed my outlook on life and cars. And now all my cars are unrestored survivor cars, mostly barn finds. And I appreciate every little imperfection. I have a lot of the stories and the history on them, and it just makes them that much more special.
You know, this is a wonderful thing, Greg, and you could teach me a thing or two here as well. I'm afflicted with the same thought process that things have to be perfect, and it's kind of plagued me my whole life. And I'll tell you a quick story. I bought a Beck Spider years ago when my son was only 8 years old. He's 26 today. We flew down to John Wilhoit's shop in Long Beach. John's been a guest on the show. He's known for his incredible restorations on Porsche 356s and short wheelbase Porsche 911s and 912s. And we picked up this perfect car that had been restored. The guy had spent way too much money on it and needed to sell off some things. And we took off on a 5-day trip north. And I've always been a perfectionist with cars, like what you just suggested, worry about rock chips and things. And we got to our second destination. I even found hotels where I could park underground or park the car protected somewhere, brought a car cover. And we were wiping the car down after the days, you know, with a quick detailer and cloths. And I looked at the front and I went, oh, no. And my son comes over. Now, he's 8 years old. He goes, what's wrong, Dad? And I said, we got a rock chip on the car. And I was, genuinely like bummed out. I mean, I just spent this incredible day with my son.
Yep.
And he puts his hand on his shoulder. He goes, Dad, don't worry about that. He said, that's a memory mark. And I said, what? And he said, every time you look at that, you'll be able to think about today. And
that's what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh. I almost tear up saying it today. And it's become kind of a thing in our family. My wife has an older BMW X5. It has a rock chip in the windshield. And I keep saying, why don't we fix that windshield? She goes, no, that was the day we drove out to Eastern Washington and Blake was in the state final track meet. I remember how special that trip was every time I look at that chip in the glass. A memory mark. So I've changed. Yep. I'm working on it, Greg. I'm working on it. I'm trying to be better about that. It's hard.
I'll keep working with you on that. Now,
you could be my therapist. Can I call you and I need some therapy time?
I tell you what, let's do coffee sometime.
Okay.
And or I'll have you come out to up to my house up here. We'll go through my garage and we'll take a couple of the cars out. I still take very, very good care of them. I'm still kind of anal with protecting them and everything, but the stories, I've had some unbelievable cars and amazing owners, and the little wares and stuff from them that were on the cars were I mean, you can spend $1 million on a restoration, but you cannot buy history and stories in an automobile. And that to me is what is so special.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing that with my current car. I have an 87 Turbo. It's an all original car, and I'm trying to let my hair down if I had some hair to let down. But, I do a second podcast with Keith Martin from Sports Car Market Magazine. And he's like the antithesis of me when it comes to cars. He drives them, he uses them, he doesn't worry about them. And he's always joking about, someday, Mark, you got to have a burrito in that Porsche of yours with a lot of extra sauce on it and enjoy it. So I'm working on that. I'm a work in progress.
I love Keith. I'd love to meet him someday.
Absolutely. We can set that up.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your business. I'd love for you to share more about what you're doing now, having some fun. I know you and your wife are about to move into a new home you just built, so congratulations. I know you work from home. So tell us about this business of yours, what you do, and why you're having so much fun.
Okay. The name of the business is Prestige Collector Car Appraisal, but it's really a lot more than just car appraisals. Being in the fire service, I love helping people. That's pretty much what my life is all about, is helping people in need. And when I decided to really get serious with my car appraisal business, I wanted it to be more. And so not only is it just writing a number down on a report, it is helping that person out, whether it is a widow who has a collection of cars and she doesn't know the first thing about them or what to do with them or how to start them or care for them. I will step in and I will explain the cars. I'll explain how to take care of them. I'll explain how they operate. I'll write out forms for her to go through to understand the operations on them. I'll tell you really quickly this one story that just really sticks out in my mind is that it was an estate. The lady was very broken up and she was going to sell her husband's car. And it was just one car. And for some reason, she felt rushed that she had to do it. And I did the appraisal on it. And I told her, why are you in a rush? And she said, well, I don't know. I just feel like I need to move this car. And I said, do me a favor. I'll do the report for you. And I said, I want an agreement. You're going to wait 1 month. Wait 1 month. And then if you still want to sell the car, I will give you avenues and venues in which to do it, to find a good home for the car. And she agreed to it. And after that month's time, we connected again. And I talked to her. I said, okay, where are we at? Do you need my help or not? And she was just almost in tears thanking me and saying that she would have done an absolutely horrible move and selling the car, that she was just too wrapped up in the event. Right. And when she had time to think about it, no, she wanted to keep it and still have her husband still with her with this car, and wanted to learn about it. So she thanked me profusely for having her hold. And that's what I do. I mean, my reports are not just one page with a number on it. I go into great detail describing every aspect of the car. They're 4 to 5 pages long. And it's a service that I think to do the absolute best possible job and report I can for somebody. And I take great pride in doing that, whether it's finding a car for somebody, evaluating a car for somebody who's out of the state. My pride really comes through with my business. I really try to ensure that I do the absolute top job I can for somebody.
Well, it's so important. And as baby boomers get older and older and we lose people, a lot of people, the family's left with grandpas or grandmas or aunts and uncles or brothers and sisters who had cars that they felt really special about. And lots of times they have no idea what the value could be. And it could make a huge difference in somebody's life with the money that it could bring. I went to an estate sale years ago in San Diego when I was living there. And of course, everyone was in the house looking at things. It was an older couple that had both passed away, and the house was just as they left it. And of course, I went right to the garage and like, what's out here, and looking at some old tools. And there was an old Mercedes out there. And I went in, I said, how much do you want for the Mercedes? Well, this estate sale company knew nothing about cars, and it was quite a special Mercedes. And they said, I don't know, whatever you want to offer. And I'm like, okay, I'll give you $500 for it. And they're like, well, we're kind of thinking a little more, maybe like $1,500. Well, this car was worth tens of thousands of dollars. And I told the guy, I said, you're doing the family a disservice. That car's worth a lot of money. And I told him, and the owners, the kids of the parents were actually there. And the guy brought me over and he goes, can I talk to you about this? And I took him out there and I said, you need to find somebody that knows this car. Well, long story short, later he called me and said, we got over $70,000 for that car. I had no idea it was worth that much money. They were going to let it go for $1,000, $1,500. I mean, oh my gosh. So the service that you do for people is huge. And the fact that you're a car guy, so you understand the sentimental value here, and that you could share that story with that lady and say, take your time here. There's no rush to this thing, unless you need the money today for something. So we really appreciate what you do. And I'll make sure to put a link to Greg's business on our show notes page. It's basically prestigecca.com, or you can just type in Prestige Collector Car Appraisal and that page will pop right up. I always like to ask my guests for a challenge or a failure that they faced along the way, something that's been monumental in some ways, or maybe it's defined you. But the most important part of this is, how did you come through it? What was the lesson learned so that you can move forward in a positive way? So take us on a little ride, would you, Greg?
Sure. This really isn't car related, but it was probably the biggest challenge I've ever had in my life. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, it was getting into the fire service. It was not what I went to school for. It wasn't what I would plan to be my career. It just kind of happened to fall into my lap to make this my career. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like the perfect fit. It's like, cool, I'll be a firefighter and this will be easy. And it was anything but easy. Back then, 30, do my math quickly. This would be about 38. Oh, dear God, I'm dating myself. 38, 39 years ago. Wow. There would be one job opening and there would be like 2,500 people trying to get that one job.
Really?
Opening.
Wow.
No, dead serious. And I wasn't a military veteran or something like that. So I was a little bit more challenging for myself. And I kept on taking test after test and scoring very highly, but not being able to have enough points to make it to the next round, with preference points being given out and everything. Mm-hmm. And it was very discouraging. It would have been easy to give up, but I just went, this is really what I want to do. So it was just bulldog mentality.
Perseverance, tenacity. Yeah.
Exactly. So what I did was I volunteered or part paid for 2 departments for almost 2 years. And I never had a day off. I went 24 hours this department, 24 hours that department, back and forth for 2 years. Wow. Never had a break, and was finally able to get hooked up with one of those departments, and my career and my life came from that. And It's just really, my mindset is, you want something, you have to work for it.
I guess so, yeah.
Life a lot of times doesn't give it to you. You have to work for it.
Well, first and foremost, my appreciation, because first responders are the heroes. And during this pandemic, we're all having to live through and suffer through. The real heroes in my mind are those first responders that cannot stay home. They can't shelter in place. They've got to be out there protecting us and serving us. So my heartfelt thanks to you for what you did as a career and what you lived your life for, and that's helping other people, is a tremendous hats off to you. So thank you so much for that, and for sharing that story. Wow. Holy cow. I mean, you paid your dues. I mean, you obviously paid your dues over the time, but to get in, oh my gosh, I don't know too many people that would do that. Let's take a short break and thank our sponsors here. We're going to be right back, and we're going to talk a little more about cars. So sit tight. My favorite collector car magazine is Keith Martin's Sports Car Market. I've been a subscriber for decades. Sports Car Market is the Wall Street Journal for enthusiasts and collectors. It's your monthly must-read, whether you dream of owning a collector car, maybe you have 2, or maybe you've got 200. Sports Car Market has been around for 31 years, and it's filled with valuable articles, intelligent write-ups, and the latest auction sales. Go to sportscarmarket.com and subscribe today. And don't miss my weekly podcast with Keith Martin titled Buy, Sell, Hold. It's the essence of collecting. We talk to the movers and shakers in the collector car world. Here's a couple deals I have for you just for listening here on Cars Yeah. If you use the checkout code Cars Yeah, you'll receive a 50% discount on your digital subscription at Sports Car Market. That's an exclusive offer from Cars Yeah. And guess what? Here's another deal. If you'd like to get the actual magazine, use the code BSH for Buy, Sell, Hold. That's code BSH, and you'll get $10 off your annual print subscription. That's right, $10 off. Both of these are exclusive offers here at Cars Yeah for Sports Car Market Magazine. Just go to sportscarmarket.com and get your deals today. If you're listening to Cars Yeah, you've probably spent some time working on your favorite ride. But how confident are you working on your finances? You may be able to rebuild a fuel injection system, but can you decipher the details of a mutual fund? If you're like me, investments, insurance, annuities, budgeting, and other financial concepts may seem a bit daunting, but what if I told you there's a book that describes these subjects and more in an easy-to-read and a very humorous way? My friend Chris Kimball, CFP, a longtime sponsor and past guest here on Cars Yeah, has written that book, and it's titled The Saga of Ike and Penny, a couple's humorous journey through the confusing world of finance. It's a fun look at things you need to know, everything from investing to effective ways to get rid of credit card debt, and it's probably the only book on finance with a VMAX on the front cover and a classic Mini Cooper on the back. The book's available at Amazon for just $10, and this book will dramatically improve the direction of your financial future. I gave copies to each of my children. All securities are through Money Concepts Capital Corp. Christopher Kimball Financial Services is not affiliated with Money Concepts Capital Corp. Get your copy, The Saga of Ike and Penny, today. All right, Greg, we're back. I'd love for you to share a story that instigated the passion you have for cars. Now, I kind of teased with the intro here about the Chevelle that you used to do a little debauchery on the streets, maybe a couple races back in the day. But, the time frame is over with, so I don't think they can get you for that. But tell us about a pivotal moment in your life when you knew you were going to be a car guy.
Well, actually, it happened well before then. And this actually sticks in my mind. I'm sitting here thinking about it, and it's like I was there. It was so pivotal. My father would take us on some nice vacations at times, and I can't remember exactly where it was. This is dating way back when. I believe I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, and I think it might have been like a Six Flags over Georgia or something like that.
Uh-huh.
We went to the end of this theater. And like I said, I could just see it clear as day. I went to this theater, and it was the first like panoramic style movie screen I've ever seen. And they had all these seats, and you go down, you're sitting in your seat, and you're sitting there going, wow, this is going to be interesting. My dad said this is something very special. He goes, I think you're really going to like it. I'm like, oh, wow, what's this going to be? And all of a sudden, the screen lit up, and it was a camera looking over a seat in a car. Mm-hmm. And it hasn't started up yet, looking through the windshield. And what it was a 69 427 Corvette. And it was a GM advertising video.
Oh, wow.
And it was on like a test course. And it was curvy, hilly, everything. And these weren't just seats you were sitting in. They were seats that moved up and down and leached sideways.
Oh my gosh.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
And so the video, you're sitting there in this thing, and they started up, and just that unbelievable sound that is so unique to a big block. And they started this thing up, and they took off, and your seat would move back. You would move back in your seat, and then you would have a depression in the road course, and your seat would go down. And
it's like a Disneyland ride.
Oh my God! I still, to this day, I still just remember it like it was yesterday. That feeling of that, the sensory overload of, oh my God, this is absolutely unbelievable. That hooked me so much, and to this day, my favorite car is that, and it sits in my garage from that
from that experience. Well, that was my next question. And
yep.
First special vehicle. So what is that?
That will be the infamous LS6 Chevelle you were talking about.
Okay.
That I was able to get from a neighbor. I worked very hard, did years of had my own little lawn mowing business and stuff, and I saved money, and my father was nice enough to help out at times, and I was able to save up and get this car. And unfortunately, my father passed away long before I was actually able to purchase it. Mm. And in that time, I became a little bit of a handful for my mother, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
I would go out, we would street race. And it was the old airport road in Springfield, Illinois. It was straight. It was the perfect road to drag race. And the police, nobody was out there, so they didn't really hassle you too much as long as you weren't out there drinking and causing trouble. This car was amazing. The power was just incredible. I'll never forget a race I had with a 440 six-pack Cuda. out there. It drew quite a crowd, and unfortunately, I caved under the pressure, missed second gear, and for a second, and lost the race.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, it happens to the best of us. Well, let me ask you a very introspective question here, Greg. If you woke up tomorrow and you were a vehicle parked in your garage, not what you want to be, but how you perceive yourself manifest as a vehicle, what would Greg Prince be?
Oh, man, that is a really challenging question, especially when you put the parameters on what I would be, not what I want to be.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know what I'd want to be,
of course.
But we're not going to go there. Okay, here we go.
Yep.
This will surprise you.
All right.
I would be a 19 late 40s Diamond T 3/4 ton pickup.
And why is that?
I bet you in 1,500 and some odd shows you haven't had somebody say that one.
Well, not that specific. I've had plenty of trucks on the show, but it's typically like an old Ford F-100 or 150 or something like that, or a work truck or a Discovery. But yeah, a Diamond 3/4 ton pickup. Interesting. So where are we going with this?
Diamond T. Well, the mainstay of it is I'm kind of a bulldog, and Diamond T's were just tough truck. They take a beating and keep going. But the other aspect of them is, especially the late 40s, is they were probably one of the most beautiful trucks ever built. I'm not saying I'm the beauty queen, far from it, but I'm an art, I'm always been an artist, and I love line and design and the grill and the cowl on that and the wheels and the attention to detail.
Yeah. That
truck is absolutely drop dead gorgeous with its lines. That attention to detail and that artistic form, that's me. I mean, that's totally me in a nutshell. And then you have to have the rough durability thrown in. So I think that would be me.
I love it. And you think about those vehicles, they had a nice stance to them. They stood very proud, very tall. Of course, during the World War II, they used those for all sorts of military vehicles, giant 12-ton 6x4 trucks and amazing models from dump trucks to towers to just bulldogs, as you say. And of course, when they get back to the street ones, that big grill was beautiful on those things. So
the chrome and they're absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I like it. Very nicely thought through. All right, well, we're entering what I call the last lap. I'm going to fire off a series of questions and have you give us some quick blips of that Diamond T pickup truck throttle. So here we go. What's one of your personal habits you believe has contributed to your successes over the years?
Again, I think it's probably just going to be driven. No pun intended. Okay, pun intended.
I like it.
It is just, I got it from my father. Yeah. And it is just bulldogged work ethic and just striving to do your best. That will always get you through life.
Absolutely.
And I think that's got to be it.
How about if I could arrange for you to have a drink or a meal with anyone in the automotive industry, living or deceased? Who would that person be?
Man, that is... Like I said, I'd love to talk to Keith Martin. I really would. I've watched his show on TV. I kind of like his mentality, but I have to go back a little bit. And growing up, I watched Wide World of Sports, and I was really into car racing and Le Mans and Indy and everything. And there was a gentleman that was an ex-race car driver that did the announcing for those. Do you remember who he was?
Was that Chris Economaki?
Close. Jackie Stewart.
Oh, Jackie Stewart, of course. Much better. Yeah. Nothing against Chris, but the great Jackie Stewart. Yeah.
The great Jackie Stewart. His voice, the way he described things, the life that he had in racing, he just seemed like a genuinely just fascinating person to sit down and talk and listen to the stories that man would be able to tell. I would love to have talked to Jackie.
You know, I've been trying to get him on this show. He's a very hard guy to track down, but I got to spend a little time with him at the Pebble Beach Concours years ago. I was invited.
Really?
Yeah, I was invited up to the judges' stand to watch the cars go over the podium. And my good friend, actually the first female guest here on Cars Yeah, Diane Brandon. She's an expert in Rolls-Royce and Bentley cars. She's been a judge at Pebble Beach for over 20 years. A wonderful lady. She seems to know everybody. And she set me down between two people. Denise McCluggage, the late great Denise McCluggage, who I've had as a guest on the show. We lost her years ago. And Jackie Stewart. And I'm sitting between those two, like, what do I say to these guys? I mean, these are legends, icons, and they were both very kind to me and very nice. And it was fun to talk to him and listen to his perspective of the cars going over the ramp, especially some of the race cars. So I did get to spend a little time. Haven't gotten him on this show yet. I'll keep trying. He's a hard guy to track down. How about...
Keep trying.
Yeah, I will. How about best automotive advice someone else has ever given you? What would that be?
Drive the car.
Yeah.
It would have to be that, because I used to be into Concours d'Elegance shows, getting my cars ready. Don't drive them. Don't, like you say, don't risk a paint chip or anything. And no, the enjoyment of having a classic car is sitting behind the wheel, listening to the engine, the feel of the steering wheel and the shifter in your hand, and looking over that hood and the gauges. I mean, that is what the hobby should be about, that, not how much a car is worth.
Absolutely. Very, very true. And again, I'll mention Buy, Sell, Hold podcast I do with Keith Martin. We hear that from most of the people that we have on the show who are collectors or people that buy and sell cars for a living, auction houses and so forth, is enjoy the vehicle. Again, I'm gonna put you on my speed dial as my whenever I go, I'm not gonna drive my car today. Oh, better call Greg. He'll get me out there and have some fun. So I'll just call him when I say, "Is the doctor in?" You'll know it's me on the other line. So there you go.
Love to hear from you.
Yeah, it'd be fun. How about a great resource that you'd like to share with others?
Well, this one's up my alley. I don't know if it would be particularly interesting to everybody, but there is a website called Barn Finds. Mm-hmm. And it is fascinating to see what rolls across that little website. And it is everything old, new stuff that they found in this uncovered barn and stuff. And it's pretty fascinating to watch. It's a wide variety of cars, what comes through there. That type of stuff really interests me anymore. That's kind of where my head's wrapped around.
There you go. It's easy to find. I'll put a link to that on Greg's show notes page, barnfinds.com. I just clicked on it real quick here. Factory hot rod, 1965 Sunbeam Tiger V8. Looks like it was found in a barn. Got a lot of rust and patina, lots of patina. There you go. Kind of a cool old car. So thanks for that referral. How about a book? Is there a book you've read you think our listeners would enjoy?
Yes, it's not car related, but it's probably one of the most inspirational and amazing stories I've ever read. It's called A Higher Call.
Okay.
And it's actually a World War II story about his name was Charlie Brown, of all things, and that truly was his name. And no, he didn't wear the funky little Z pattern shirt, but he was a B-17 bomber pilot. And this was his very first mission. And he had to go way into Germany, very, very dangerous. And I'm not going to, no spoiler alerts here, but just a brief overview. So he goes in, does this mission. His plane's all shot up. He's limping back. And a German ace was on the ground, saw this bomber, and just needed one more kill to get the coveted Iron Cross, which only a couple of German pilots got. So he took off his plane and went to shoot this bomber down, saw that it was crippled, it was defenseless, didn't shoot it down, and escorted it out of Germany.
Wow. Yeah, it's incredible.
And the two reunite.
Oh, my gosh.
Later on in life.
Well, that's incredible.
The whole story, it tells both sides. It tells more actually about the German pilot side he wasn't a bad guy at all. Mm-hmm. I mean, he had to do a job. He didn't really agree with it, but he had ethics.
Yeah. And
there's a lot, I think really is relevant in today's world where I gotta go sound like my father.
That's okay.
Where today's teenagers, if somebody unfriends them, they think it's the end of the world, and oh my God, their world's crushed. And here back in the day, these teenagers were in a B-17, where they had a 50% chance every mission on coming back.
Yeah.
And then the goodness of enemies coming together and supporting one another. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's so much in today's world that type of situation needs to come back. Not the war, but just what that little meeting between those two represents. I think it's just an absolutely amazing read. I highly recommend it. Adam Mako, I think that's what the author's
Adam
name
Makos,
was.
Makos,
yes.
And with Larry Alexander were the authors of that story. And yeah, A Higher Call, an incredible true story of combat and chivalry in the war-torn skies of World War II. And I saw something this morning. Somebody had posted on Facebook a wonderful byline here of, if you were born in 1900, by the time you got to be 75 years old, all the things you would have encountered that were incredible challenges: World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Spanish flu, killed 50 plus million people, polio. It just goes on and on. You think of how, not that life is like a cakewalk for many people nowadays, but the difference in generations and what somebody that lived through that time period how they even got through it, alive. And this pandemic we're having to deal with now. And I know it's a challenge for people. I know it's heartbreaking, but compared to what many people of that great generation had to deal with, there's no comparison. Absolutely. So nicely mentioned book. I'll make sure I put a link to that book on Greg's show notes page. All right, Greg, we're up to the checkered flag. This last question is a bit of a doozy. I'm going to buy you a collector car today, but there are rules to my game since I'm writing the check. It's a car you can't sell and buy a bunch of other toys with, or put new furniture in that new house of yours. You have to drive it, no garage queens. But here's the kicker. It's the only one collector car you can have, so it needs to tick all the boxes. Now, if you still own that car and it's a car you want to keep, that's cool. That way I don't have to buy anything. But maybe there's something else out there you have your eyeballs on. So what is that car that ticks all the boxes for you?
Oh God, that's just, it's like, what is your favorite song?
Or child or whatever. Yeah. Unless you have one, but it's a tough one. I know, but it's a fun game to think about.
No, it is. And to be totally honest with you, I already own it, so I'm saving you money.
All right. I appreciate
truly.
that.
It's almost a flip of the coin between the three collector cars I have left, which one it would be. They're all very special for different reasons, but if I had to look at the overall aspect, it's got to be my Corvette.
All right.
Just the driving experience, and I'll go out and I hate the stigma that people place on that year Corvette. It's like it's mandatory. You have to have a mullet and gold chains and a muscle shirt.
What's the year again?
1969.
69.
And it's the ultimate midlife crisis car. And if you wipe the slate clean of that, just get that out of your mind, and you just look at the lines of that car and almost trace your finger over them and stuff. That is one of the most amazingly beautiful, sweeping lines. I literally call that America's Ferrari. It was so unique, so just almost supercar styling. The interior, the way you sit in the seat overlooking that hood, the pontoons on the front wheel wells. It is absolutely the most amazing drive, and the one we have just turned 40,000 original miles. It's absolutely untouched, in probably the most perfect untouched condition I've ever seen. It's literally like driving a brand new 69 427 4-speed Corvette.
So you don't really like it that much, I can tell.
Oh God, no! It's just,
jeez.
It is just unbelievable. So that would be it, saving you some money.
Yeah, well, it's always exciting for me when my guests have the car they want. Of course, chief stylist on those cars, Bill Mitchell, Azora Arcas Duntov, chief engineer for GM, and Chevrolet Design and Styling. They did a magnificent job. So I'm so happy you have the car that you want to have and always wanted to have. That's pretty darn special. Greg, you've taken us on a great ride in that Corvette today. Really enjoyed getting to know you better. Want to thank you for sharing your journey. Could you offer us one little parting piece of wisdom or guidance, as if you haven't already, before you drive off into the sunset in that 69 Corvette?
Enjoy the day and enjoy what's in front of you, and pay attention to the simple things in life, because a lot of times those are the things that are most special.
They always are. How can people learn more about Prestige Collector Car Appraisal?
You can go to my website, prestigecca.com. You can contact America's Car Museum, because I am now their go-to person for car appraisals and assorted other questions with collector cars. And you'll find me on various benchings in various areas on the website.
Very cool. Of course, LeMay America Car Museum. I know it well, just down the road from my home here. Know all the folks there. I've had many people from that fine museum on my show. So there you go. Congratulations for being their key go-to for appraisals. That's very, very cool. Shout out to Chrissy and Renee and Mark and all the folks there. Yeah, Renee's a good pal. I met her when we first moved here to the Pacific Northwest. She owned a photo lab where you would take old film and had prints made. And I walked in there one day and she came out from the back. She goes, "Who are you?" And I go, "What?" She goes, "All you ever bring in is pictures of you cute kids and tons of cars, and it seems like you travel all over the place. Who are you?" And we became good friends, and we've been friends ever since. She and her husband, they've got some fun cars too, so shout out to her.
She's a great person.
Yeah, great folks. Greg, thanks for being so generous today with your time and expertise. You and I could talk for hours. Thanks for sharing your experiences. We'll get together for sure, since we're almost neighbors here in the Pacific Northwest. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you down the road.
Excellent. Happy birthday again.
Hey, thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.